But it's really intended to have us reflect the nature of our community. And honest to goodness, I know what I spent on, making my house look good, and some people have done a whole lot more than me. And the amount that we have budgeted, frankly, is probably less than what many of us have spent on our own properties to make them look nice. What we have is, part of the plan is to make these entrances sustainable, to put in plants that will grow at the right rate, the right levels, take out plants that are dead or withered or no longer viable. And, Michael Branning had, and I may be stealing his line, but, for years I think we've looked at this as we've been changing the oil and rotating the tires, but now I think we need to do some overhauling of some pieces. And so that's the rationale for it. I invite you to look at the plans over there, and I invite you to ask, Gwen or Rich, any questions you have about the particulars of the plan. But a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of thought went into it, and I want to thank them for doing that.
We needed to do some more long-range planning, so we pulled together a visions committee. And I'm going to forget somebody, but it was Steve Sanderson, Kim Plesser, Michael Benton, Ray Ackerman, Rose Lucas. And what we did is we brainstormed up a list of what are all the kinds of things that we might want to consider doing, the neighborhood might care to consider for the next 10, 20 years. And we tried to make up a list, and then we came up with a list of priorities. Most of the priorities were around things that were very risk-based, things like one of the suggestions that we decided didn't make any sense. Doing more fire hydrants. It wasn't economical and so forth. But one of the key things for the neighborhood that brings the value is this runway and its ability to be used and accessed and the safety of it. The paving, the access to the trees on both ends, the lighting, the drainage, all those things are important. If we have problems with paving, anyway. So we started looking at what are all the risks, and we came up with several ideas that we thought merited consideration. And I took some of those things. It wasn't a vote by the business committee; they just primarily did analysis. I brought some of these things forward, and we put some things in the budget. Those were primarily to address the runway lighting. It's not something that would have to be done next year, but it's something that is going to have to be done at some point. The wiring is basically replacing the wiring because there are a lot of spikes that keep on being built and so forth. Another thing is some drainage on this side of the runway as houses being built and so on. The top association mentioned that could do to improve the drainage because water could undermine the runway. So we put some money into the budget for that. And finally, we put money into the budget for filling the trees on either end of the runway. And this is not nearly as precise a plan. It's more of an authority to spend. It's not as precisely budgeted as the plan, but primarily on this end, we have a lot of trees, and we can do some clearing because we have this land, but we don't think it's safe to have volunteers out there with chainsaws at the side of the trees and the landscape, so we felt like we need some money for that. And then down here, where we displaced threshold, if those trees continue to grow in the next 5 to 10 years, that displaced threshold is going to be further and further down. So at some point, we've got to do something, and that could be as economical as pine beetles. I don't know how effective that's going to be. And Ray Ackerman has got some more with the neighbors here.
He doesn't shoot.
And we just decided we wanted to be ready for action. We felt like we could get those trees removed, and we aren't sure exactly what it would take. We're not sure exactly what the deal would be, but we felt we needed discretion and the money at hand to do something. So that's where that other line item came from. And we just lumped them together because we didn't want the number floating around what we were willing to do for trees, and that's really the derivation of that. So, but that made sense.
No.
Yes.
Could you please explain a little bit about why the board decided to do something that no board had ever done before, that being to take money out of paving reserve and spend it on one-shot projects as opposed opposed to seeking alternative financing sources, which is what we have done historically when an urgent need arises. I'm thinking in terms of A, the construction of the tractor shed, and B, the purchase of the skag mower. We found alternative methods because I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, those of you who've been here longer than I, that the reserves are kind of sacrosanct because we know that asphalt deteriorates, we know what its lifespan is, we know how much money, we kind of know how much money we're going to need. It just doesn't feel good to take 30, 35, 40% of what it's taken us a decade to earn and plan on spending it instead of seeking an alternative financing source.
I'll try to address that. I don't know if I can address it perfectly, but one thing I'd like to say is Ken, just thank Ken. Ken did a lot of work on a paving model, basically when he was president, to analyze the cost of paving and our income and the amount of money we would save for that. And I took that and tried to convert it into a model that allowed us to plug in multiple inputs, other kinds of spending, so we could look long term how much money we needed to spend, because we didn't necessarily know exactly how much. There are a lot of assumptions in the model. Cost of paving, we did some work to find out what it costs a day. So, if oil doubles in price, well, that model, those numbers go up pretty rapidly. There's income, how much investment income can we make? That's another variable. What's inflation going to be? That's another variable. Are we going to have more aviation lots at some point through annexation of land or something else? That's another variable that isn't even considered in the model. What are the regime fees going to be? Will they be increased? Are they too low now? So we've plugged a lot of different variables into that model. I believe that we can afford to spend this money. Should we spend all this money? I'm not completely sure if we should or not, but I know one thing: if we vote it down, we absolutely won't spend it because we have no authority to spend it. If we do vote it up, then we have the authority to consider spending it. Just because you vote for the budget doesn't mean that we will spend every dime that's budgeted. As far as in my opinion, and this is just speaking as me, I've heard this called, the savings called paving reserves. I view those as one of the things. It's really reserves to pay for all of the things the neighborhood needs. There needs to be sufficient funds, and I think that we can afford to do it over time. There are other sources of revenue. I agree. We should be looking at that. I think we have some ideas on how to raise some funds with the property down that we purchased this year to make that a neutral transaction. You kind of.
If we go with this up though, this would necessitate very large increase in the homeowner's fees. Is that correct?
I think it's reasonable to assume over time that the homeowners' fees will need to increase under almost any circumstance according to the inputs we've had. But if we spend this money, it will cause them to go up more because we've spent.
I mean, we have to replace the 30,000 we're using before we build up or 36,000 before we build up our reserve to get back to the level that we should be at now. And then we're going to have to do something to grow that even further. So on paper, it looks to me like you would have a very rapidly increasing homeowners fee. Isn't that correct?
There are a couple of different models. You can increase it if you try to catch up increasing it by a large amount every year, you overshoot how much you need very rapidly. You might need to make an adjustment next year or a year that might be more than 10%, depending on how much you want to spend, and depending on what your assumptions about the cost of paving are. There's a whole lot of different.
There's a 10% limit for retroactive, because we want to increase that. Otherwise, we have to do an assessment.
Yeah.
This budget would necessitate then the fees go up like 25% in the next year. Is that correct?
It can't happen.
Yes, it
only-
can.
It
Yes,
can
it can,
happen.
Gary.
It's cumulative, so it can happen.
Cumulative, but we've only had 1 year that we didn't increase it. I'm aware of. 3. Okay.
Recently,
So, is that correct?
I'm not sure that it would necessitate it. It would be one of the decisions that could be done.
Well, we have to replace the reserve we're
Sure.
going to use. It's going to use $38,000.